Morning folks, Kevin here. Well, it's July 9th, 2017, and yesterday we had a pretty good sized windstorm whip through. When I went to make sure the chickens were all secure and the ducks in their habitat, all of the black locusts, which are 15-20 feet tall now, were laying just laying at 45-degree angles as it comes off the west wall there. So we get these powerful winds out of the west at times. And unfortunately, yesterday afternoon, Thea came in and told me, oh, our mulberry tree, I don't know if we can save it. It's a tree right behind us here. It's split into 3 parts. This mulberry tree means a lot to us, not only because it's a fantastic tasting fruit, the type of tree, it's called an Illinois mulberry tree. And it really does great in Zone 5 up here in this part of the country. But the thing that's really so special about this tree, the fruit off the tree, even if people aren't impressed with things that we've done on the property with our gardens, our food, whatever it may be, when they come over, and it's this time of year for the next month to 2 months, they come over, they grab a couple of these small mulberries off of this tree, and they're immediately captivated. They want to know how they can get one of these trees and all. So it's a bit of a heart wrencher when the damage happens like this. But I'm going to turn the camera around and I'll show you something with it. So this mulberry tree is about 4 years old. I think 3 years ago, we had a deer browse problem. Well, we've always had deer browse problems. And if you can see, if this part of this limb was up here, there's actually right here where my finger is, was the main stem. And so that stem was shooting up, and it was had these small 5 branches coming off the sides, and a deer had come through and chopped it off. And these is a site where those small little side branches, the leaflets, were, and it produced this beautiful, almost vase-shaped mulberry tree, which has been so prolific and so delicious. And this year we've had lots of rain. So the foliage is really tremendous. The fruit is phenomenal on it. And of course we heavily mulch them. We're constantly feeding the soil so that it really feeds the tree, and the tree feeds us. But the winds came through and split this tree into 3 different sections, one of which, meaning east, was the most significantly affected, and this one is pretty wobbly. I don't know if you can see, she's moving. This is the most stable one. So I'm going to see if I can save the central part right here. I'm really concerned that we'll lose quite a bit more of this tree if I'm not really aggressive with trying to prune this pretty heavily. So let's see how things go. Okay, I just got done doing what I feel comfortable so far doing. So this section right here was laying way down here towards the east, and I had to use a clamp and a basically a cargo strap to go ahead and try and snug it up and bring it up close. Try to clean out any debris that had accumulated between this crack all the way down to here, both sides, and got it closed up. Then there's the split between these two sections here and down here as well. So, I'm sorry, between these two sections here and down here as well. So, I ended up, to protect the bark, well, first off, this is probably the most challenging time to try and save a tree because there's such a burden on it to produce all the fruit and all. And I would be doing something a little bit differently if my wife weren't so influential. But so I used a tree guard to try and protect some of the bark as I was putting pressure on it with a clamp to bring things up, in the strap. I used one up here and one here. Got it up together. Tried to close up the spaces as much as possible. Those particular spots here, I don't know if that's showing up all that well, the cracks. Use some electrical tape to hold it. That will expand over time. Water can accumulate down in these cracks here, so I put some tape to try and deflect some of that material. We'll see. Same thing down in here, the cracks. All of these cracks, just trying to close them up enough so that the basically the cambium layer and the xylem, those areas can reconnect and make it a stronger junction in the future. This main stem off here is the strongest one. It seems to be pretty solid. I see future problems with the angle, this being, although it doesn't appear to be too much of a difference between the angle here and the angle here, this one is much more prone to splitting injury when the winds come or there's a lot of fruit or branching on this tree. So this is one that I'm going to want to cut off here in the future, probably this fall. I don't want to do any more significant pruning. If my wife weren't so concerned about getting as much fruit, and she really gets very nervous with the amount of pruning and work that I do with these trees, because I fail at times. One of the things I'd be doing is lightening the load all the way around on this tree, taking off this limb up here. Not sure if that's showing up very well. Just trying to reduce some of that pressure, and I may still do that. But for right now, I think this is enough to see just how well things will actually work out. Step back. It really looks funny lopsided, but that whole side over there I'm going to end up pruning to try and encourage more balance to the tree. And again, any of these narrow angle branching circumstances, you can actually see where there's been some action right down in here, and that can cause more of a problem. Isn't as much action you see here, but I really like these branches out more lateral. But then again, these ones were pretty lateralized, but it's still, with the amount of branching and foliage and fruit on it and a high wind, it just ripped that tree right down. Really unfortunate, such a beautiful tree. So I use basically a cargo strap. I use one of my metalworking, my fabrication area for the metalworking, a clamp. I use the tree guard, that gray thing there, black electrician's tape, and some very large wire ties as well to hold it all together. So we'll see how this works. We'll give it a shot. I'll let you know. This is one of our special trees here on site.